It is anticipated that school bus traffic will also use this as the preferred route. The intersection of Orange Avenue and Parkway is a narrow T-shaped intersection with curb lines at deep angles. This causes a sharp turn that is difficult for the trucks and larger vehicles to negotiate. Parked vehicles in the area of the T further reduce the roadway area for vehicles to negotiate this turn. Based on these observations, it is the recommendation of the DPW Superintendent Leslie and myself, the Chief of Police, that a no parking zone be established on the northeast side of Orange Ave, 125 feet in either direction from the center line of Parkway. All right, so that's the background for it. I'll ask for a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, public hearing is open on this local law. Any comments on this?
As we were saying to you earlier, the inevitable happened, that somebody did knock over the fire hydrant this morning.
Right at that spot.
Sure. And I think you indicated that there might not even have been a car there at that time, so it just shows that there was a car there, that car would have been hit,
Yeah.
essentially. So
What kind of automobile, we don't know, but it was a big,
right.
double dual job.
It's a tight turn without cars there, so with cars it's even worse. So, okay, thank you. Yes,
Hi, Sheila Hammond. I live on the corner of Parkway and Orange.
how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good.
I just want to confirm all the issues that we've been having on the corner of Parkway and Orange. First of all, people blow through the stop sign. Maybe 3 out of 4 cars don't completely stop. Having cars parked along Orange Avenue or Parkway, which has now been designated no parking. How many feet back is that? About to Ted's old house.
Well, they really were, that's,
Yeah, they
Yeah,
made it a yellow curb, they can't park in front of where my house is,
On Parkway.
on Parkway. Which is good, because that's when the road narrows and you couldn't see the stop sign and so
Sure.
forth and so on. But traditionally, cars come up, they skip the curb, they can't make a turn, horse trailers, cars are coming in both directions, so it's really a hazard to not only the kids in the street, the kids getting off and on the buses. We had to move our driveway, which used to be on Parkway, to Orange Avenue
Oh.
in order to get out of our house. So it's a very dangerous intersection.
Okay, just state your name and address again, just so we can record it.
Sheila Almond, A-L-M-O-N-D, 60 Parkway, Goshen.
Mr. Levinowski, if you can just state your name and address for the record.
Your name and address.
Pat Labanowski, 37 Orange Avenue, Goshen.
Thank you.
Well,
All right, any further comments or questions on this proposed local law?
I think it's going to be probably from telephone pole to telephone pole.
I probably, if that, you have a better visual than I do,
Yeah.
living there. It's, yeah, 125 feet, so whatever, however that translates.
Yeah, they were saying, I guess, somebody was mentioned between the 2 telephone poles.
Yeah. I mean, the idea being with this, we want it to be as low impact on the neighborhood as possible, but still doing what we need to do from a safety perspective. So the last thing we want to do is just, do it just for the sake of no parking, but there's a definitive means for this, and, public safety comes first to this board. So, yes.
Joan Labanowski, 37 Orange. If this is approved, when will this take into effect?
If the board desires, we can vote on this later tonight. And then, once we vote on local law, Alan, is there a?
Well, local law becomes effective when you file with the Secretary of State, which is just mailing up there, and then it's just a matter of when Mike has the signs to put up.
Sure.
But anytime after that, and generally you figure within a week, your local law is filed and effective. So then Mike's gotta put signs up.
So just the time to mail a letter, get the response, and then actually physically get the signs mailed to us. So, being very conservative, I would say by the end of November would be the latest, but I would assume it'd be before that. So. And just in terms of the stop sign being ran through, I'll speak to the chief of police, and what we can do, when we know there's a problem area, we can have a cop go there at some point just to remind
Sit in
people.
my driveway, because nobody will look in my driveway. Because they look left to see if anything's coming, they never look to the right.
Sure.
But as screeching, the hitting the curbs, it's just relentless.
Okay, I'll speak to the chief about that tomorrow, try to get someone out there at some point, just as a friendly reminder to our. All right. Not seeing any further public comment, I'll ask for a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, very good. All right, now we have some minutes to approve. We have the minutes from the village board meeting, September 26, 2011. Any errors or omissions?
I have to abstain.
Okay, so I'll have to vote. It's no problem. All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Village board work session, October 3rd, 2011. Any errors or omissions?
It was a good meeting.
Absolutely. Hearing none, all in favor signify, or I'm sorry, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, and aye. And village board work session, October 17th, 2011. Any errors or omissions? All those in favor, or can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second,
Second.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Very good. All right, items of business, and before we start, is the board in favor of acting on those two public hearings tonight?
Yes.
We don't have to, my only question is procedurally, we don't have to publish anything for the 15 minutes?
Well,
Changing
in order for you to have a
legislation.
public hearing tonight, you had to have already published.
We previously published something.
No, I
for
don't
tonight.
mean there, I mean, if we're changing, I'm not looking to cause a problem, I agree with it. But if we're changing regulations, that's all we have to do?
Well, we are establishing, we have a section in the village code that, where we've adopted local laws approving the free 15-minute parking spaces in other areas in the village.
Okay.
And what we're doing, this local law, which would now become local law number 1, because the other period lighting was proposed local law number 1, we're not gonna act on that, so this becomes local law number 1, and since it's already been published, that's how we have a public hearing, that we can adopt that. You need to issue, first, a motion under the State Environmental Quality Review Act,
That's what I
indicating that there be no adverse environmental impact by the adoption of this local law. If you want to make that motion, then you can move to adopt local law number 1 of the year 2011.
And it'd be the same process for the second public hearing?
That's correct,
Okay.
except that'd be local law number 2.
Yeah. Thank you.
Smarty.
All right, so is the board in favor of that?
Yes.
I'm in favor, my only question is, in the past, we've always done this because there is a fire hydrant and it's the last parking there. This is still the last parking on that street?
Yeah, if you look at the chief's letter, he identifies the spot.
Very good.
There's no
Fine.
exception.
I would make a motion that we find that this would have no, negative declaration, that there would be no adverse impact under the secret laws.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Which local law are you referring to now?
Number one.
Okay,
What will be number one?
right, all right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, now I'll ask for a motion to adopt local law number 1 of 2011.
So moved. Oh, whichever.
Second.
Second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Now, can I have a motion to issue a negative declaration under seeker for local law number 2?
So moved.
And that's local law amending chapter 54, article 5, section 2, -54, 205. Second,
Second.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. That's our
Aye.
job.
That's our negative deck. And now to adopt local law 2 of 2011. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate your support on those. Okay, now we have an abstract of vouchers. I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right, and again, these are bills that the board has already voted on, has already reviewed and signed off on. This is just part of the process of going through it. Bills as examined by members of the board were approved in accordance with abstract 2011-2012, numbers 10 and 11, check numbers 2304 through 2407, in the amount of $708,887.33. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Then we have a resolution on tax exempt properties. This is for property owned by the village of Goshen for our water system that is outside the village limits. And this is in order for it to stay off the tax rolls because it's village-owned operating property. I'll ask for a motion on this.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All right, whereas the Village of Goshen owns property designated as 13-1-32.61, 15-1-8, 15-1-48, 15-1-50, 61-1-43, and whereas the above described property is used by the Village of Goshen for water supply purposes for its residents and others who use state and county facilities within the village, and whereas the county legislature has exempted the described properties from county taxation in the years past, now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Goshen is requesting the legislature of Orange County to exempt the described property from county taxation for the year 2013 in view of its use for municipal purposes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Now we have a resolution on the elections for 2012, offices to be filled. I'll ask for a motion
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
All right. Whereas the Board of Trustees must designate by resolution and publish the offices which are to be filled in the village election and the terms thereof, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Goshen designates the following offices vacant at the end of the current official year to be filled at the village election to be held on March 20th, 2011 for the following terms. 2 trustees for 2 years. It is further resolved that the village clerk is hereby directed to publish this resolution in full in the Goshen Independent. This resolution will take effect immediately. The foregoing resolution will be seconded. Okay. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. So now we have mayor trustee comments. I'll start with trustee Matthews.
Okay, first I'd like to say that we did some replacement at the North Church Street pump station. We put up the new board. I know that we've had this in the works for several years, and that we finally decided that it was time that we could no longer put it off. And there are new valves there. That means that the guys will not, in a state of emergency, have to climb down into the bowels underground. It's much safer for them, and it makes it much more efficient process. Excuse me. We also, I would like to remind everybody that on November 5th, we, under the tutelage of Meg, who is on vacation, and her husband, and the Episcopal Church, we are having a fundraiser for the farmers who were devastated during the flooding, and that I make good chili, and that you should come and you should participate. And any opportunity to see people in the Village of Goshen get up there to prance around on the stage is worth any price. So please come and support their effort. Thank you.
Trustee Stewart.
DPW activities for the past couple of weeks. Crews are blacktopping, patching areas of blacktop. You can see them out there patching potholes. Everybody probably may be aware that the superintendent, foreman's office, and the clerk's office, and the break room at DPW are all very heavily impacted by the hurricane and the Hurricane Irene, and then the tropical storm after that, Lee. And that's all been repaired at this point. And the crews are starting to prep Clouds Avenue for repaving. That's it.
Thank you. Trustee Char.
All is good in the police world, but I would like to discuss a different topic, and that is the county building. We all know that the county building was, it had been deteriorating for years. The situation was made much, much worse by the hurricane and then subsequent tropical storm, and now has been closed for, approximately 2 months at this point, give or take a few weeks. Our village is being hurt by this, and hurt severely. Our downtown is greatly relies on many, many people that come to that building in the course of a week from 9 to 5, the employees, the visitors, etc. So it's my preference that the building be taken down and rebuilt. I'm not shy about that. And I would severely urge our legislature to get the ball rolling. It is going to take time to rebuild that building as is. The longer it takes for that vote to occur, that timeline is just going to be stretched out more and more. We're already hurting downtown as it is from Arden Hill leaving. Thankfully, hopefully that will be somewhat backfilled, if not completely backfilled, the minute BOCES moves in and gets up and running. But the longer that building is down, and the longer the various departments of the Orange County government are dispersed throughout our county, our village is going to suffer, and the longer this goes on, I don't know if the damage will become irreparable and unfixable for our village. And that's my major concern, is this village. So I'd urge everyone, you know, you may have differing opinions on this, but even if you have a differing opinion, I'd urge you to at least contact various your legislators, excuse me, that they get moving on it. Whether it's rebuild, whether it's renovate, do something for the sake of our village. We are the ones who are going to suffer the most out of this. That's what I got.
All right, thank you very much, Trustee Char. Just to piggyback on Trustee Char's comments, you know, it's very evident that not having the county building operational is having a major impact on our downtown. So I'd ask all village residents, town residents, members of the community, try to support the downtown, shop local as much as we can. If you need something, chances are you can find it downtown. You'll save gas money and save time in the car. And the best way to help spur on our economy is by helping our local one. I would also echo Trustee Char's sentiments about the urgency for the county to move in one direction or another. There's not time to dither. We have the clerk's office and the DA's office will be relocating to Matthew Street in the next few weeks, so that will help, but it's not going to be a permanent solution. So we need action. Our downtown and, you know, suffering, and Goshen, you know, we face challenges by being the county seat. We have large properties off the tax rolls, 52% tax exempt. But as a result of that, our downtown and our businesses have been built around the county building. And we have the downtown structure that we have now because of the building that is behind me right now. And without that, even though it's challenging being all that tax exempt, to just pull that out, we still have the tax exempt properties, but not the benefits to our downtown. So we really need action on that. And what everyone can do is spend some extra time downtown and try to shop local. And also the Chamber of Commerce, there's some board members here. I know the Chamber is paying very close attention to this, doing a lot of work. Maybe someone will comment on that tonight. I'm not sure if you guys were here for that, or signage. But they're doing a lot of work. So if you want to be involved as a citizen, I'm sure the Chamber would love to hear from you how things are impacting you, whether it's your business or you as an individual, or things that you notice. So thank you to the Chamber. Ray and Maureen, Katrina, and Lindsay are here tonight, so I want to recognize the three of you and the whole Chamber Board. Just moving on, Joint Recreation yesterday had a great Halloween party at Salesian Park. They had a great turnout, a lot of great costumes. I stopped by there, and it was nice because we had some real activity in Salesian Park, and parking was across the street in the parking lot, and we had the police able to help people cross safely. So we were able to use the park and get people over there, but doing it in a safe manner. So that was a very positive thing. And thank you to all the Joint Rec employees and commissioners, Trustee Charles, the village liaison. Thank you to all them for the time they put in, because the Joint Rec Board is all volunteer, and our the chairperson, Sherlock, and employee Mayor Hackman both do a phenomenal job. And they actually had a lot of help from the Leo Club in the high school, which was nice to get some high school students involved. Last, the signage committee, we're going to shoot to start that in November, probably the third Wednesday. I'm going to check everyone's calendars, the people that have already reached out. I'm going to be giving them phone calls or emails. I want to make sure the first meeting can accommodate everyone that had initially reached out to me. But it'll be open enrollment after that. The more people who want to join to help us hone our signage laws, to make them more helpful to our businesses, to promote themselves while still maintaining the character of the village, it can only strengthen us. And after that long, drawn-out mayor comment, I will open it up for citizen
I
comments.
just have one.
Well, I have one thing too. Go ahead.
I wanted to add, I don't want to reiterate everything that Trustee Char and the mayor said, but people should also be aware that it's only going to get worse, because when the Office of Court Administration put pressure on the county to build these new courtrooms, we guaranteed them as a county that we would provide them with court space. And there's 6 courtrooms in the old building that are now closed. So they are going to kick the remaining offices out of that building and turn the rest of the building into courtrooms, so that the remaining county employees that are in there are going to be out of there as well. So again, it behooves all of us to, whatever you think, I personally agree with Ed that the building should be torn down. It's a disaster. It's so much empty, wasted space and airspace. But if you think it should be fixed, then tell your legislators, look, make up your minds. Do one or the other, but let's do it. Let's do it quick.
I think in support of that, I think that they're boondoggled by partisan politics at this point, and I would hope that they elevate their decision-making above that point, so that we can come to a conclusion on whichever side they're on, whichever majority wins, that they make a move, and so that we make a move quickly. because literally, as you both said, I don't have to reiterate, not only is it about the people who are spaced all over the place, who are used to working here, but our businesses are suffering terribly. But beyond that one little thing that I wanted to make sure I got on the record, that Sarah and Jim Alwick and myself had a meeting about the viability of the funding for the CRV well, and despite the fact that the village has been asked to redesign our hookup to the county well, they redesigned yet again, we are still within our budget. Hopefully this will bring it to conclusion and fruition, and we will have determination from the DEC immediately. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Okay, now, citizen comments. Mr. Markowitz.
I usually wait till the end, but because we have some community participation here tonight, I'd like to jump in at the beginning tonight. 3 items. People are probably not aware, because it happened last week at a work session, that bids were accepted for the trunk line. I had a simple question about that. Was that RFP stated as a public works project, so we don't run into the labor issues we had with the dirt removal?
Can you speak to that?
Yes.
And the bid that was accepted specifies that rates to be paid are...
New York State prevailing wage, that's correct.
Good. The second question was with regard to the amendment on the bonding, the bond resolution. At the end of all of that very lugubrious wordage was an indication that it's subject to a referendum. What process is going to be put in place for that, and what kind of a schedule?
What the law provides for is, it was published in the newspaper. You have 30 days from publication. You need to have 10% of the registered voters. The 10% is calculated based upon the number of voters in the village of Goshen who voted in the last gubernatorial election. And if they put a proposition together to put it on a ballot for election, or a permissive referendum, that 10%, then it has to be voted on.
So there's an opportunity, not a mandate.
That's
for a
correct. It's
referendum.
what's called a permissive referendum, as opposed to a mandatory referendum.
Right.
Just to piggyback on that, just to be clear, that's for the action that we're being mandated to perform by the state. It's
I
not,
understand that.
An optional project the village feels like doing, it's because the state's forcing us to remediate the stockpile.
I think we all understand that.
Okay.
The last question is my standard question. What's the status of the removal of that dirt, and what do you have to say about where we stand with regard to the consent order and the fines?
I can say, with regard to the removal, we are probably 90-95% complete. It should be, everything with regard to this is always contingent on weather, so I'm going to couch what I say with that. But if the pace continues with no major weather disruptions, the situation should be fully removed by Thanksgiving time. So, Dave, I'll let you speak to the latter portion of this question.
Sure. There's been a flurry of communication with the Attorney General's office, but you know the way I am. I don't like to speak to the final resolution nor the imposition of fines until that's final and complete. But I would, based upon my recent conversations, and I've had several, as well as several emails, that it will be actually in the near term, and I've heard me say that frequently, but we're just about at the end.
Can you say anything about the extent of the fines without obviously getting into specific numbers, but we're obviously not talking about a couple of $100 here.
Obviously not. Other than that, Joel, I really don't want to comment. Only since they're under discussion, they're not reduced to paper, it's be inappropriate for me to put.
Are we talking about an amount less than $1 million?
We attorneys have a phrase that's called asked and answered.
It's
You asked the question, I answered it already. Asked and answered.
Any more citizens' comments?
I'll now speak again. Pertaining to the government center, I put 19 years inside. And I go along with Mr. Stewart. I don't think anybody can come up with dollars and cents to fix that, because it has to be fixed from top and bottom and inside and out. And you cannot believe what's going on in there. I mean, if you took a heat gun to that place in the summertime, it would light up, and if you took in the wintertime, it would light up, because the heat loss in there was unbelievable. Every window I mean, if you went in there and looked in the rooms and look in the lights, you'll see the flies in the fall time. They're all coming in, they're in their light fixtures. There's mites, there's bats come in, and you can go on and on. The ductwork, everything. I know they put in new boilers and chillers and a cooling tower, but the penthouses, they've been leaking, and I don't think anything. You would have to tear everything apart. How much dollars you're going to put into this, and you'll still have the same old building?
Thank you very much.
That's my opinion. I
Thank you.
mean, if it was my house, I would rip it down. All right.
Mrs. Sion?
I'm short, so I'm going to stand up. Just on behalf of the Chamber Board, I just want to thank you for your comments regarding the downtown. So that you are aware, we are in the middle of conducting a survey of our businesses and our residents and various customers to determine how the closure of the county building has affected them, for good or for bad. There are some people who are doing actually quite well over on Matthew Street, and then there are some people downtown who are not doing quite so well as the businesses. It's also affected not just the restaurants and some of the other businesses, but probably like the attorneys and accountants and other people who need to go to the government center to conduct their business. Has affected us tremendously, business community tremendously, but I did want to thank you very much for your support of the business community in Goshen.
Thank you for everything you guys are doing. Further citizen comments? Yes.
Lyle Shute.
Linda Shoot.
We were here in September relative to our house on Wickham Avenue. And
Yes.
the problems we experienced during Hurricane Irene with the sewer surge. And we spoke, and there was going to be some investigation, looking into it, and just wanted to kind of follow up. Is there any new news, anything in the works, any findings, videotaping the lines,
Yeah,
so forth?
the lines were TV, or if you want to speak to the Art Tilley's our village engineer.
We did a TV investigation of the lines in the immediate vicinity, Kyle, of your property, and did not find any evidence of blockages in the sewer lines themselves. It seems that the backups were caused by large volumes of water which were coming into the sanitary sewer system rather than a blockage of the sanitary sewer system.
So this is rainwater coming in, rainwater going to the sewage system.
Yes, well, just rainwater and groundwater, so yes, I guess basically based on the rainfall, yes.
And I can say, and you might already be aware of this, but the bid that we awarded last week is to do a sewer remediation project by the sewer plant, where the pipe that conveys sewage into the sewer plant is fed by 3 larger pipes. So that creates a backup at that point, and that can impact other areas of the system. And we're replacing that one pipe with a much larger one, so that should prevent further backups to that degree at that section of the plant. That's one thing that we're doing to improve our infrastructure. It's not going to solve all the ills, but it's an important first step that we think is going to help reduce some of the pressure on the system.
We also have an ongoing investigation into the sources of the inflow and infiltration into the sanitary sewer system, and that's as I said, is ongoing, and we're identifying problems as we go along and fixing them as we find them. But it's a long process to go through the entire village, as you can imagine.
Did we also see if we could file any coverage, not that we received it, but if there was any room for any coverage?
The insurance company has denied coverage.
I
at
know,
this point.
but I want them to know that we tried.
Yeah, we did file your situation among others with our insurance company, and they have not accepted coverage at this point, unfortunately.
So that's pretty much out of the question.
And at this point, we've talked to the insurance company, and they've said no. I guess what I would say is, if there's other ideas, we're open to them, but at this point, we've done what we can do legally. Right.
What are the chances of taking that section of Wickham Avenue and running it the other way?
Going downhill.
Get it off of North Church Street, Maine, because here's a scenario. We have this building, I completely took 2 30-yard dumpsters out of there at our own expense, because we're trying to save the building. Very, very hesitant to spend any more money rebuilding, reconstructing, until I have a really good assurance that this won't happen again. It was only that little section. I can't speak for the whole village.
Right.
I'll speak for the block that we're on.
Sure.
Okay? The other side didn't have trouble. For some reason, our pipe goes like this, and back around again. It just doesn't make sense. And in my problem, old pipes, maintenance, whatever. It's just not supposed to happen. I know it's an extraordinary event. Everybody's suffering. There's a lot of different things, but the reason we're here is we want to just make sure that this gets prioritized somewhere. I don't know if there is a plan
Absolutely.
and priorities. But we're here to speak to that section of Wickham Avenue between Grand Street and North Church. You know, can we run it the other way? For lack of a better term.
I know.
Run it to the other manhole.
Because our neighbors had no trouble.
Right, I understand what you're saying. Myself, before I say one thing could work or wouldn't, I would have to
I'll
speak
leave
to
it to
our engineers and
With Art's
professionals.
expertise. But
Yeah.
I want to ask that you let him prioritize that area for some sort of solution. If that's a way that the village could help, I'm sure Art and his expertise could figure out what to do
Absolutely.
so that
We can go ahead and
so
rebuild.
that we can rebuild, and next spring, when we get a couple inches of rain, it's not blowing in through the pipes again.
Absolutely, and
You know, and if there's something that, you know, if there's a defect in our pipes, we'll change them. We're trying to keep that property. Right now, it's close. It's close, and, you know, we've had that for a long time, and we maintain it. We want to keep it. I have a business in the village, you know. We're community-minded people.
Absolutely.
We're just asking for help.
I have to tell you that you have been exceedingly pleasant people in your requests for assistance. Oftentimes when people are put through this kind of pressure, I understand it, but they get exceedingly agitated. And your presentations on both occasions have been asking for help, and I'm sure we will do everything that we possibly can. But I appreciate your tenor.
Thank you.
This is the first we've heard of that because we spoke to the insurance and he was not so kind to us. He pretty much said it was like, well, what did you do to prevent it?
Yeah, it is,
He was very, very rude.
It's been an ugly time, I know.
he was very, very rude.
I'm sorry to hear that, first off.
You know, he's doing his job, but
I understand. Well, you know,
anyway.
our building inspector has a term where it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. And I think that's a good phrase to live by. What I would say to speak for this whole board and the village is the sewer challenges that we're facing are a priority for us. This year, for the first time in this past budget, we allocated $500,000 for the first time. I think prior to that, it was maybe $15,000. So we're spending the money to fix the problem at the same time that we're trying to get to the root of the issue. You know, in the last round of sewer bills, everyone got a letter from me explaining that if there's certain illegal hookups where someone has their stormwater, their gutters, or sump pump going into the sewer system, that needs to be changed. We're not looking to get people in trouble or fine people or anything, but that's an important first step, because if you have homes that are doing that, and we know they're out there somewhere, that's contributing to the stormwater getting into the system when it rains. So that's one component, but at the same time, we have old pipes that have not been adequately maintained over the years. And, you know, I'm the last person that wants to spend money, but unfortunately, if you avoid problems for long enough, it catches up to you. And it's, you know, it's not a new problem that the village is facing. It's been happening over the years. But this board does not have the ability to pass this on. And we're tackling this aggressively as much as we can, and, you know, in light of the economic climate. There's only so much funds that are available, but we are, you know, directing a large amount of funds towards this problem. But we need to make sure that wherever we're investing the money, it's the best place. And that's what the study that we're doing right now is. And I can tell you're doing a lot of work with our DPW, inspecting manholes, TVing lines, to find out where in the system is the worst problem. Ideally, we'll find a few places where there's large areas that are impacted that could be replaced there. We can target our energy and money in one spot. You know, the other end is it could be just throughout the village, a lot of small things, and that's a little harder to repair. It takes more time, but we need to know what the actual problem is. But as we find things, we're correcting them, like that pipe that I mentioned by the sewer plant. So that's the first large, you know, one of the things we did, we fixed the stretch of sewer line that runs under Erie Street here, next to the Rio there. That was fixed earlier this year. That was the first step, but this next one is our largest infrastructure spending on sewer this fiscal year, probably in a long time. That job was bid at a little over $250,000. So we're spending the money, and we absolutely sympathize and emphasize with you guys for your issues, but it is a priority for us. And in between, if you have any questions for me or just want to chat, I believe you have my card. By all means, call my cell, shoot me an email, whatever works. I'll come have coffee, just to keep you guys updated on what we're doing, because I know this is exceedingly important for you guys.
Is there a way we could see a map of what is important to you, like what the problem areas are?
Yeah, well,
What you're doing work on?
well, I can give you we have a plan for the pipe that we're going to be replacing in the short term by the sewer plant. But at this point, we don't have like a map of the village system where we already know what the biggest problem areas are. We have an idea of what surface areas we're seeing impacts on, where we have sewer overflows. That we already have identified. But it's not always the area where it's coming out is where it's being most impacted. So we're studying the actual lines. But as that information is put together, it's all public information. So absolutely, we'd be happy to share that.
And Kyle, we have a 3-year plan with the DEC that we write quarterly reports for. And those quarterly reports are available here at Village Hall. And those quarterly reports outline what's been done in the last 3 months and also what's anticipated to be done as the year goes forward. Those are submitted quarterly to the DEC and to the village. So.
What are those called, Art? What are those titled?
Quarterly reports for sanitary sewer evaluation.
Thank you.
And we have a permanent set of guys, right, designated to TV the lines on a regular
Well, we have a 3-year action plan that was submitted to the DEC and approved by the DEC that were outlines what's to be done when in what areas of the village, and we have to keep the DEC informed that we're meeting those goals on a regular basis. That's what the reports are for. So yes, we have it.
And there's an ongoing process of TVing the lines.
All the way through. And repairs as well. As we find problems, there's repairs being made as well. So that's available right now.
And one other thing I just want to note, I've had my criticisms of different DEC mandates the village has had in the past. But at this point with this project, there's a lot of collaboration going on between the village and the DEC to find consensus and come up with ideas to fix this. So we're working together very closely, and we're moving the ball down the field ever so slightly.
But that area on Wickham was moved up in our 3-year plan, right to the head of the line. So the TV work that was done in the inspections and the alternative routing is something that's being done now. That originally wasn't part of the schedule, the initial schedule.
Sure.
So you can check on that.
Essentially, it's a living document, and as we need to make alterations or move things around, we can do so.
Yeah, we didn't know the DEC that was sending the speed breakers, but I'm glad that, that's been bumped up a little bit, and thanks for, informing us on those quarterly. We'll probably, check back
By all means.
along the line, just to, hear any updates.
This is just something that was annoying to me, but it doesn't have any red ones probably. But we got the letter we got our sewage bill, right a few days after the storm, so then it was
Timing is everything.
attached to that was a letter saying that Goshen is updating their sewage system, and we're continuously, working at it. And the letter was dated before the storm. But we didn't get that letter for 2 weeks after the storm. So I just thought that was kind of odd.
I can tell you, they were all put in the mail at the same time, I believe. Meg's not here tonight, she's away. But everything was mailed at the same time. I'm not sure if there was a backup or the way things went with that, but that's just our regular, the way sewer bills go out. So why there was that specific lag, I'm not sure about.
Yeah,
I don't want to
It
comment.
seemed like it was written after the storm. That's what it seemed like when I read that in the letter. I was like, whoa.
Oh, no, that was made up, a month in advance by, that's part of the sewer studying that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the things we talked about with the DEC, about trying to discover those legal connections and everything. So we've been working on this much before the storm, but the storm was something that gave the strongest evidence that something needs to be done yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
this is public comment, so whatever, anything.
Okay, I have for the past year and a half, to about a year ago, April, been calling the village police probably twice a month to put the noise down at the Goshen track at the old Olivers, at the Goshen Inn.
Okay,
The place where I live, which is on the corner of Parkway and Orange, all the sound comes across the track and up to the house.
are they open now?
They are opened every weekend. They're not open to the public, they're private parties.
Oh, okay.
And in the past, when I called and I checked on the ordinance down at the village police a year ago spring, and then in the spring, through the summer, through the fall, the noise, they have the alcove that's in the back of that restaurant, the old restaurant. There's no soundproofing, there's nothing underneath, there's no barriers, there's just an alcove, and there's music playing very loudly with the bass and drums and a strobe. And I knew when I moved in the house that we would occasionally smell horse manure. We live across from the track. I also knew that I lived on the corner of Parkway and Orange, and there was a stop sign, and there would be noise and buses and traffic and horse trailers, and I accepted all that. I knew there'd be noise on special weekends, that they had something at the track or parade routes, and there'd be parking issues. And I purchased the house knowing all of that. What I wasn't prepared for a year ago, April, when the parties started on the weekends, and early in the spring, I took a walk down there to see what was going on and asked the people that were having a party, they were non-English speaking, and they finally found somebody that spoke English, sent them over to me, and I asked if they would be shutting down the party at any time, and I asked for a representative from the establishment. And they said there was none, they just get a key and they have a party. It was a little disheartening to hear that, but the police are tired of hearing from me. On Saturday night when I called, a week ago Saturday, they said, well, it's a private party, we can't do anything about it, and you're the only one that complains. Well, my home is on the highest end, my windows rattle. And the cars that go by that do the thump, 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 and it's a kid playing their music way too loud, it's like that until 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'm not sure what else to do. I don't know whether bringing it up here is going to make a difference. I know the noise ordinance is 11 o'clock, but they're saying it's private parties. Then I read about, Kelly English establishing her place, the noise ordinance, and the things that she had to do in order to keep things quiet. So the policemen have on occasion driven by the house and they park in the road and they yell up to my porch and say, I don't hear anything. And I said, come here. They come up to the top, and on the porch, my windows are actually rattling. So till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, it's
Sure.
starting to grate on my nerves.
Oh, I totally understand.
Well, it started a year ago.
And this is absolutely an appropriate forum to bring that up. It's the first time I've heard of that situation, but we do have a noise ordinance that should be enforced. What I will do is I'll speak to the building inspector tomorrow. I'll also speak to the police chief. Those would be the two main people. And I know that Ajara is our commissioner of police. He'll also bring it up to the chief. That way there'll be 2 of us working on it. And we'll find out what can be done. Because, whether or not the property owner is there, that property still needs to follow village ordinances and village code. And it doesn't sound like that's happening.
What's the rule about a private party and whether they don't have to apply to the noise ordinance?
I don't think there's any exception.
There's no
The ordinance
exception.
is the ordinance, from my understanding. It could be private, it could be public, it's still, you can't have a negative impact on your neighbors.
Correct.
So, absolutely. Let me look into that with those two, and I'll get back to you.
I have chronological notes for about a year now, about the times I called, and I'm sure they're sick of hearing from me.
Sure. Well, we shouldn't need that stuff, but if it comes to that, I'll definitely let you know. But,
Well, I appreciate you looking into
yeah,
it.
but in the future, though, if there is a noise disturbance with that or anything else to that level, then that's, by all means, call the police, document it, and do all that stuff. It can only help things, and it's not about being annoying, it's about, being a homeowner and getting the enforcement of your rights as a homeowner.
I was kind of stopped short when he said, well, it's a private party, there's nothing we can do with it, you're the only one that complained, and I kind of went,
Yeah, I'm not sure, maybe there's a misunderstanding, but I'll look into it and I'll find out.
oh, thanks.
Thank you very much. Any further citizen comments? All right, hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Ah,
Thank you very much for coming tonight. Have a good
very
night.
nice. Nice to have people.
Wash it up someplace.